Within the universe of the Yautja, there are countless stories of these species going on hunts across many planets, searching for the ultimate prey that would challenge them. In most stories, they would encounter humans in some way, and rarely do we see humans wearing predator armor. There's been a few stories when humans would acquire weapons and equipment from predators, but one of them stood out in a different way. This human would not just have one encounter with these hunters, she would make it her personal mission to battle with as many as she could find, always searching for one specific hunter that she knew from her past. The story of Theta Berwick was released in 2022 by Marvel. It's their own story of a new character which spanned over 6 issues. It starts off in a distant planet of the year 2056. An explosion is heard as someone had fired off their plasma caster weapon. 2 characters are seen in combat. Both of them are wearing Yautja armor. One of the warriors starts getting the upper hand. As the injured one is knocked down, it begins to pull its mask off. Its ugly face stares at the one standing before it, and with a quick swing of its sword, the other warrior chops the head of the fallen predator. This person then pulls off their own mask, and it's not another Yautja, it's actually a human, but it screams out, "Damn it!" as if victory was not enough. We are then thrown back into the past. The year is 2041 in Damara. The person we get to know here is a young version of Theta Berwick. She's later found by her parents, who advised her to stay on the ship. But Theta doesn't want to spend so much time talking to the ship's artificial intelligence, and she's read all the books available to her. Theta just wants to go outside sometimes, but it's not safe since her parents are still studying this planet. They don't know what else is out there. Even though it's been a couple of months, they're still not done. Just then, Hugo warns Francesca to take Theta back to the ship. Something's wrong. He thinks it's nothing, but he was sure he saw something within the trees. He would feel a lot better if the others were back on the ship. But before they could leave, 3 dots appear on his chest. Hugo is then attacked by something. Francesca and Theta scream out for their loved one, but there's nothing they can do. This was just a memory of Theta's unfortunate past. The day she lost her parents was the day that changed her forever. Back to the scene of that fallen predator. Theta says this was not the target she was looking for. This one had all 4 mandibles intact, even during the battle. Just by the way it moved, she felt it was the wrong one. She also lost her favorite axe in that battle, but in the meantime, she's going to search the other ship and take whatever she needs from it. She makes her way inside, searching for something, as she recalls how she came to be the person she is today. That predator destroyed everything she had and left her broken and alone. She finds the device she's looking for, packs it up, and heads out to her ship. She's been hunting these things for 15 years, trying to learn as much as she can about these hunters. During her walk back to her ship, she comes across some native beings of the land. Theta tries to communicate by saying she's a friend to help, but they don't understand her, and they soon become aggressive when they see her predator helmet. She tries to explain to them why she has it, but it's no use. They don't know what she's saying, and then they start attacking her. All she can do is just run. Memories of her past are once again shown. Her mother Francesca running to the ship with Theta holding her hand. She warns the others that the situation is now a code red, but it's too late. Something had followed them to the ship, as one man gets taken out right in front of Francesca. The 2 of them run inside, hoping to seal themselves within the cabin, as other people try to fight back, but the enemy is hidden within the trees. Everyone tries to fight back, but they can't see what's attacking them. In a short amount of time, almost everyone is taken out. Francesca tells Theta to hide in a good spot, and to not open the door to anyone until Sandy says so. When she comes out, Theta is to also program Sandy's autopilot to bring her back to Earth. Her mother seals the lab as she leaves, and Theta is left alone. This is the last time Theta saw her mother alive. As Theta arrives on her ship, it quickly takes off, and she plans her next move. When she was younger, she never knew a monster like this could exist. She was actually disappointed that the one she fought earlier was not the one she was looking for. The universe is capable of producing endless horrors, innumerable monsters, but she will not give up until she finds the one that took everything from her life. The device she took from the hunter's ship is something that she's seen on so many ships so far. A lot of it has not been deciphered yet, but what she did find are travel logs and their hunting routes. The first time they hooked up one to their system, they discovered that the drive sends out a beacon to others, which led to her 5th and 6th encounter with them. Ever since then, they take precautions when loading up the data from these devices. When she compares the data in this device to others she found, when one hunter is eliminated, another one picks up their hunting route within a year, working the same 10-year cycle. So when one hunter takes over the route of a previous one, they can anticipate when a planet might be the next target. The ship is in need of some repairs, but the nearest place that might have these parts is Port Meday on Tusket, which is an Astar Industries outpost, and the last time they went there, she had to blast her way out of their junkyard. Port Meday is currently in the process of decommissioning, and with only 2 active staff on board, the risk seems low. It's also the best option they have, considering other locations are too far, and the food supply will only last around 8 days. And so, they set a course for Port Meday. As Theta goes to sleep, more images of her mother appear in her dreams, the time when that creature took her away from Theta. But as her mother is being held up, Theta swings her weapon at the creature, slicing off one of its mandibles in the process. She's then awoken from her sleep during an alarm. It seems that Sandy has made an error in her calculations. The gravitational stabilizers are failing. Sandy has to divert resources to continue. This includes shutting down autopilot, other sources, and her own system. Theta has to land manually. Sandy set a landing course about 100 miles south of Port Meday outpost. She can't get them any closer. Even though Theta has failed 7 out of 8 landing simulations, this is all up to her. The last memory of her mother are shown again. Before she's gone, Francesca tells Sandy to look after Theta, and somehow she still manages to land the ship without crashing. She tries to call for Sandy, but the systems are still offline. Not knowing where to go from here, she just waits. When the system is brought back online, Sandy starts assessing what needs to be repaired on the ship. Theta is going to need to collect a few items, like 2 gravitational stabilizer cores and shields, along with replacing 2 of the outer solar array panels. Before she starts her journey to Port Meday, which is around 106 miles from her location, she anticipates that the trip there will take no less than 7 days and no more than 4 weeks. With only 8 days of food rations with her, she has no other choice, and so she begins her journey. Over the next couple of days that she travels, she remembers that she's been hunting these creatures for 15 years, and the one that took away her family is still out there somewhere. She won't let herself starve on this frozen ice planet. She will not let it end this way. On the 11th day of her journey, she comes across an animal, and she decides to take it down. She needs the food, but she's still sorry for taking its life. We then see images of Theta when she was younger, and how she was to blame for her parents being attacked. If she had only listened to them to stay on the ship, maybe they would still be alive today. Theta then wakes up gasping. It was just a bad dream. That's all it was. But she then hears something. It sounds like a vehicle, and it's getting closer. She's confronted by 2 beings. One of them approaches her, while the other goes for her supplies. Theta defends herself by chopping off the arm from the nearby enemy. She approaches the other one and holds her weapon near his face, asking how they got a bike that belongs to the Astar Industries. It says they found it at Medway Post and there was no one there. Despite them attacking her, she still offers to help them by giving them some items for the injured person. She understands they are just trying to survive, but if they do follow her, she will retaliate in a more severe way. She takes their hoverbike vehicle and drives off. When she arrives at one location, Sandy would monitor the communications to see if anyone spots her. The hoverbike actually ended up saving her. It gives her the chance to carry back more items much easier. That is, when she goes back to Sandy. As she begins to explore the area for anything she could use, she would enter a room with hanging bodies, a known trait of the Predators. She finds other Astar employees, but none of them are alive. Sandy advises Theta to just collect the parts and return as soon as possible, but this whole thing just doesn't fit the pattern. Tusket is too cold, and it's not on the record of hunting grounds, so why is a predator here? As Theta looks on a nearby monitor, she spots an image of a predator. She zooms in closer to get a better look, and in its left arm, she sees the predator is holding her axe. While she is distracted by this, she is unaware that someone or something is right behind her. Maybe she's walked right into a trap. As she turns around, the predator swings the axe in her direction, but she blocks it with her weapon. She's able to fire off the weapon, which only does minor damage to the predator. This buys her a few seconds to run. She realizes that this hunter has been to a planet she visited before. Without her armor and weapons, she's not ready for this fight. She's able to jump through a window and lands on a snowbank, but is followed by the predator. If only she can get to the hoverbike. She needs her armor and weapons. She keeps on running, hoping she can make it in time. But then something hits her in the left leg, blowing off her foot in the process. She continues to crawl, knowing her life is on the line. She makes it within a nearby vehicle and turns the engines on. The thrusters start up, and the blast hits the predator during his approach. She goes outside and reclaims her axe from the body. Later on, Theta would be trying to repair her mechanical foot. Sandy would notify her that she has detected inbound Astar Industries ships. They would arrive between 12 to 15 hours. As she loads up all the supplies she needs, Theta decides to make one more stop before heading back. She felt the need to cut down the people that were left hanging and leave them in the freezer for the incoming Astar ship to deal with. It's not much, but it's a small way to give them some dignity. Back on the Sandpiper ship, Theta wonders how that predator knew she would go to Port Medway. She's been hunting these things for 15 years, and she's taken down 23 of them so far. Theta comes up with a reason for this. Any ship that is identified as an Astar Industries ship will be searched by these hunters at every outpost. It turns out they take their time to study their targets, learning about them to see who is a risk and who is worthy of their attention. Theta wants to warn the other Astar outposts before it's too late. She has to find a way to let them know what's coming, but before she can do that, Sandy tells her that will have to wait because other predators have found them. 2 enemy ships start chasing and firing at her ship, causing immediate damage. They were undetected by the radar, so they could have been using stealth technology. Sandy would take control of the ship as Theta tries to deal with the enemy tailing them. She's kind of surprised to see them working together. She always thought they were very territorial. Theta would use a weapon to take down one of the ships. The shields took the majority of the damage, but the hull cannot take much more, so they are forced to land somewhere. She puts on her armor and grabs her weapons, ready for combat. There's no honor shooting a target out of the sky. She knows these hunters prefer a battle up close to their prey. This might have been a bad time to start drinking, as she still feels a little bit drunk from earlier, but still, she needs to get this over with. Shortly after, this hunter appears before her. Theta is waiting for the right moment. Just a little closer. Theta then calls for Sandy. A vehicle comes racing behind her. Theta jumps out of the way as it smashes head-on into the Predator. Thinking it was enough, Theta jumps in with her weapon, but the Predator sees what's happening. It pulls out a spear, and Theta is hit by it as she comes down from her jump. The hunter recovers, stands over Theta, and kicks away her weapon when she struggles to gather her strength. It grabs her by the throat and lifts her up. This really was a bad time to get drunk. She gave the hunter the advantage. She cannot focus like she normally could. But somehow, she manages to pull out a bladed weapon and tries to injure the hunter as one last effort to save herself. It damages the hunter enough to drop Theta, and then a voice calls out, "Now!" Multiple shots are heard as a group starts firing upon the hunter, taking it down and saving Theta. Even as she feels so weak and injured, Theta reaches over, pulls off the mask of the defeated hunter. One look at its face, and she knows it's not the one she was looking for. The last thing we see is a group of armed men led by someone in a white outfit. They plan to take Theta on the ship to find out who she is and why she's in possession of a missing Astar ship. When Theta awakens, she finds herself being held captive, locked up, and questioned by Captain Ferrier. He wants to know how long Theta was in possession of the missing Sandpiper ship. About 15 years ago, the crew aboard the Sandpiper sent out a distress signal. This took place on Damara. By the time a rescue team showed up, the ship was gone, and all that was left were corpses. He just wants to know what happened. They were able to track her location because every Astar Industries vehicle is equipped with a tracking device. His team are looking over the Sandpiper logs to find out more information. Theta is then taken to cell C8. This is when we meet Paulo Silva. He's going through the Sandpiper ship and admiring what Theta had collected during her many hunts. He learns that Theta had taken the ship completely offline. That's why it was hard to locate the ship over so many years. He's able to provide an override code to update the system's BIOS, which then gives him access to all the ship's logs. Paulo then contacts Captain Ferrier, and he also learns who Theta is. Theta is the daughter of Francesca and Hugo Berwick. They found video logs of what happened to them and the rest of the crew, which proves Theta was not responsible. But now they are planning to head back to Earth. Even though she's innocent, Astar Industries owns all the data on the ship's logs and all the research Theta conducted with Astar equipment. That includes her as well, and any information she can provide about how she survived. In exchange for that knowledge, Astar agrees to not pursue charges against her for stealing company property. Paulo would then bring food to Theta within her cell and ask her questions about these creatures she was hunting. He's never seen such an impressive collection of artifacts from them until he saw Theta's trophy wall. They're after Theta because they know she's hunting many of their kind before. She's been searching for one specific target, the one that took her parents away from her, and now they followed her to this location. But more of them are coming soon. Theta attacks Paulo and injures him, then takes him as a prisoner. She forces the guard to drop his weapon. She takes it as she moves through the ship with Paulo in front of her. A message about an escaped prisoner is heard within the ship. Captain Ferrier gathers his men and they go through the ship to find Theta. And it's not long until they cross paths. One soldier sends a message to the captain, warning him that they've got a breach and they need immediate backup. Then the line cuts out. Theta tried to warn them that more of these hunters were coming for her, and now they found her on this ship. But nobody listened to her, and now it's too late. There's a complete massacre over an F-wing of the ship. This hunter is brutal and relentless. It's not going to stop until everyone is eliminated. The more time they waste, the more people they will lose. Captain Ferrier finally agrees to let Theta help them, but first she needs her armor and weapons. They plan to lure the Predator in an area with one entrance. somewhere that gives them the advantage against the hunter, and Theta volunteers to act as bait. Sometime later, the hunter sees Theta down a hall. She stands there, waiting for it to come closer. Once it does, they can open fire with everything. They just have to wait a little more. But something strange happens. As the hunter sees her waiting for him, it decides to back off and turn around. This leaves Captain Fairy confused. But Theta already suspects something. She tells everyone they need to move and get off the ship. She demands to open the cargo doors, but the captain refuses to abandon the ship. While they argue between each other, some type of moving device shows up. Theta warns everyone right away to run. The device explodes, leaving a huge hole in the ship. A lot of lives were lost in an instant. Captain Ferrier is so upset from what just happened. He believed Theta could stop this creature, but something went wrong. As he's not paying attention, something comes up behind him. A bladed weapon impales him from behind. Then his body is ripped in half by the predator. It has such tremendous strength, and its methods are brutal with no mercy. A very dangerous opponent for sure. Theta tries to run, but her leg is grabbed by the hunter. It holds her easily with one hand. You can see the sheer size of this hunter. It's massive compared to Theta. She tries to pull out her weapon, trying desperately to defend herself, but her weapon is easily swung away. Now, she's completely helpless, unable to fight back. The creature then willingly pulls its mask off, revealing who it really is. It's not just another predator amongst many. After seeing its face, Theta knew who it was. This was the one predator that she was hunting for so many years. This is the one that took the life of her father and mother. It was the hunter that was missing one mandible. A blast of energy then hits the hunter's body, causing enough damage for it to let go of Theta. That shot came from Paolo, who is trying to save her. But it's not enough to stop the hunter. As it turns to face Paolo, it aims the wrist launcher. It starts powering up, and without waiting any longer, Paolo fires off another shot, which tears off the left arm of the predator. It pulls out a throwing weapon, tossing it towards Paolo, which lands on his weapon. Meanwhile, Theta calls out to the creature, trying to get its attention, then fires a weapon at its back. It retaliates by facing Theta, pulling out a large bladed weapon, screaming as it lunges towards her. She fires her own weapon, but it gets hit by the hunter's bladed weapon in return. Theta sees her machete nearby, then makes a leap towards it, grabbing a hold of it as she lands, the hunter just barely missing its attack upon her. Theta rises to her feet as fast as she can, and with all her strength, she swings her machete at the hunter, cutting off its head. She finally got her revenge. As she stands above the fallen enemy's body, she breathes heavily. While this battle might be over, her war against the predators is not over. She tells Paolo there are many more out there, maybe millions, and they are hunting. Theta wants to eliminate all of them, and this ends a story called Predator, Day of the Hunter. And that's it. We are done. Did you like it? Tell me in the comment section. Thanks for watching. This is Carlos or Acid Glow, and I'll see you in the next video.